Well, hello everybody, and a very warm welcome to all of you joining us on DD Goa. On today's episode of Inspiring Entrepreneurs, it's time for us to get our hands dirty in the soil. And that is because we are in the farms of Kalangut. A statement that not many might have heard of in the first place, but yes, we are actually in Kalangut and we are surrounded by farms full of fruit bearing trees as well as paddy crops. We're here to interview a young and dynamic individual for today's episode of Inspiring Entrepreneurs. Narusha D'Souza is going to talk to us and let us know about her journey from model to farmer. Let's go hear what she has to say for all of us. Thank you so much, Narusha, for joining us on DD Goa's episode of Inspiring Entrepreneurs, right? So, let us understand a little bit about you, your background, growing up in Kalangut or maybe coming into Kalangut. How has this whole story begun? Let's go to the start. Tell us a little bit about yourself and your journey as a farmer in Kalangut.
Well, I'm a model, an entrepreneur, and most importantly, I'm a farmer.
Okay.
So, it astonishes people that when they get to know I'm a farmer or I'm a model, when I tell them I'm a farmer and a model, that idea doesn't sit well with them.
Both those combinations.
Because how can you be a farmer and be a model? It's
Yeah.
two different things. It's world
Correct.
apart.
Correct.
It's that's one side is glamour and one side is very dim and not so glamour. But it shouldn't be astonishing. It
Okay.
should be that I'm very proud of that because my journey begins from ages back, from centuries back, because my family has always been into farming. We are true Kalangutkars, and I still live in the same old house that my family has been living for generations.
Nice.
And these farms that you can see are owned by my family from generations. And from my great great grandmother to my father today, this has been passed down to me from generations. And I have seen how, from a humble background, we have come up to be entrepreneurs today, and we are doing really very well. And I will never forget my roots. See, modeling is something that I love doing. I love the camera. I love being, presentable, and it's glamour, it's glitter, definitely. But never down the line have I ever forgotten what our background is, what and how humble my family has been, and how humble we still are. I never shy to appreciate that my granny always remembers and tells me that we never had money back in the day. We used to live on a barter system. We used to sell the coconuts, we used to sell the paddy, or we used to sell the vegetables that is grown in the field. And that's how, we used to do a barter system and get what was needed for us. And yes, of course, then my father migrated. He took upon professional other professions, and now we are financially extremely well off. And having said all of that, and having living an extremely comfortable life, we still continue doing our farming because this is the true heritage. This Our land is a true richness, and the love, the care, and the nurture that we give our soil is the same love and care the soil knows to give us back.
Okay.
And we have always appreciated that.
Understood. Well, folks, if you can hear a lot of noises and sounds in the backdrop, it's because we're actually shooting in the farm today, right here in Kalangut. And speaking of the farm, what made you pivot, from, as you said, you're a model and as well as a farmer. So what made you pivot from going from in front of the camera to going to the fields and plowing the fields and, actually working with the soil?
For years, we have always coming down the field, walking in the fields, planting paddy, because that's most of what we do over here. And it's just that as growing, I was busy with my modeling career to begin off. And of course, I had my education that was very important to me. And when I completed my education and when I set my businesses and when everything was done, I realized that it's my job now to take up on farming full time. And when I started doing that and I started realizing there are many pros and cons to the fields, I realized why not make informative videos on social media, because I already have a social media platform.
Yes.
And with my little influence, if I can make a difference, if I can encourage anybody for that matter to take up farming again, why not?
Excellent. So, your answer has given me a couple of questions. So let's start first with what is it like in the day of a farmer? So if you could give us your run through of how your day is, especially when it comes to farming, what would that involve?
See, like in the olden days, today we don't actually have to manually do farming, because there are lots of machineries, there's labor involved, and a lot of things that help you facilitate farming much easily. So when it comes to my day in a farm, what I do is mostly I just live very close by. I don't
Okay.
have to go extra mile, so I can come to the field whenever I want. So I prefer coming to the fields early in the mornings, maybe 8:39, and seeing what the laborers are doing today.
So you have labor force as well.
Yes,
Okay.
definitely, because we have over 10,000 square meter of farmland in the space itself, in Kalangut itself. And to manage 10,000 square meter of land by me and my family is near to impossible.
Okay.
So we have to employ laborers. We have machineries that help us. We have sprinklers set aside to water all fruit bearing trees. We have laborers who take care of the vegetation when it is planted. So it is all done systematically, so that we know for a fact we have good yield and nothing goes to waste. So again, coming back to my day, so as I told you, I live very close by, and when I feel like, or whenever I get a call from the laborers, or when I know and I need to inspect and just check what is happening, I'm always available here, and you can see me at any time of the day.
Okay. What are the things that you talk about on your platform, specifically in terms of farming or in terms of, as an agriculturalist?
Well, with my platform, I like to highlight not just the pros, but most importantly, the cons.
Okay.
Because cons is the reason, the negatives are the reasons why our fields are left barren. With my platform, I like to raise the issues that happening in our fields today, the illegal activities, the drainage and the sewage that is being left in our waters, how the sewage is also being left in our farmlands by the illegal activities that are happening on a large scale,
Understood.
which are not promoting farming at all. We have the toddy packers, we have our farmers who are doing such an amazing job, but why are these issues not being highlighted?
Young people who are watching this, right? How would they go about, becoming farmers? Because in a day and age of today, where the youth especially are looking either for, blue collar jobs, or they're looking to be employed, rather, so to say, rather than actually doing something on their own. And that's one of the reasons why we're having this entire program series on DD Goa, is that we want people to understand that, you can, be self-employed, rather you can, have your own ways of earning and getting potential income. So what would your message be to people who are watching, especially the younger generation, about how they can go about into this field of farming?
I've always said, if you really want to get into farming, it's very important. First criteria will be to genuinely have true passion for your land and for farming. It's something not that you do one day and the next day you get bored and you decide I don't want to continue it. It doesn't work that way. You need to have dire dedication to continue doing what you do, because farming is not easy. When it comes to farming and when it comes to me, farming has been very easy for me because I've had the trade and we have had the art of farming from generations. I don't have to start from start. I don't have to, get knowledge from elsewhere because my family already inheritates that. So it's easier for me. And again, there are schemes, there are a lot of subsidies available from the government to anybody who may want to apply or get these subsidies. So that is also one advantage that the government also gives to anybody who wants to start. But again, you really need that passion to do something. For be farming or anything for that matter, you always need that passion and true dedication that I will continue doing this, because even till date, even though everything is available easily for me and everything is easy, I still face a lot of backlashes, a lot of problems that sometimes hinder my work in the farming. And sometimes, I'm human. We all get discouraged.
Yeah.
And but besides that, I still see through that and I still continue working because I'm very motivated, and I never let anything or anyone stop me from achieving my goals.
Speaking of motivation, right? How do you stay motivated? Because farming is something which requires a lot of patience, and there are a lot of factors which could come into play, which might affect the crop. Like, you may not get enough of rainfall. Maybe there's a bit of drought. Maybe there's some pests coming in. A lot of challenges which come in. A lot of patience is required. What would your message be to people, especially the youngsters watching, to tell them about the art of patience? Waiting for their crop to grow.
You know, um, although I sometimes make it seem that farming is really easy and glamorous and we have so much yield,
Yes,
because just
yes.
last few years, in fact this year, we have had tremendous mango yield in our farm, and it is growing each year. But there was a time, and there has always been a time in our lives, especially in our paddy fields, that we've always suffered losses.
Mm.
And it has been sad, but it has never discouraged us, because at the end of the day, we know that one day we will succeed. And the moment you succeed and the moment you have an amazing yield, that is what a motivation is. That is what promotes me to continually doing what I'm doing. Because the moment you have this amazing yield and you see your farm is doing extremely well out of all the patience and all the hard work, that really pays
Yes,
off.
there you go. Yeah.
That pays off.
Yeah.
And trust me, my only message is stay dedicated.
Mm.
You if you do anything for the matter, just farming or any other professions, always face hurdles, but you need to learn to overcome and stay a little bit patient, because
Yes.
if you really stay patient, right, it pays off.
Mm.
And has always paid off for all of us.
Again, segueing from what you just said, you had a great yield of crops. Let's talk about some of the crop that you have out here
Of course.
in this lovely farm that you said right in the heart of Kalangut. Could you tell us about what's growing and how long have you been in this? I know you said since you were a child, but since you've sort of taken on the handle yourself, how long has this process been, and what are some of the plants that you've been cultivating, and what are some of your favorites as well, if
Oh,
you have any?
of course. But well, as I rightly said in the very beginning, that we have always been farming since ages. But it's only when I completed my education,
Mm.
and I set aside my business, and it was all done and settled. That's when I realized I'm free. I have time in my hand, and it's now time for me to carry on from my father.
Besides the favorites, what do you all grow out here? What are the crops?
So we have mangoes,
Mm.
we have cashews, we have different fruit bearing trees such as custard apple,
Mm.
saps.
Mm.
We have vegetables growing. We have a pineapple field. It's which does very good.
Mm.
And most importantly, what we majorly do is paddy.
Mm.
Because these, what you all see
Mm.
right here, these are
These are paddy
paddy
fields.
fields.
Yes.
Now what we have done is, since we have a huge land, recently a few 10 years back, we have heightened a certain portion of the paddy field,
Mm.
so that we can grow fruit bearing trees. Because
Ah,
what happens is, in monsoons,
yes.
these whole paddy fields gets flooded,
Flooded with water.
and you can't do anything here besides paddy.
Correct.
Just to diversify,
Mm.
my father decided that let's increase this portion of area, a good
Yes.
considerable portion of area, where we grow 100 mango trees and
Wow.
cashew trees,
Mm.
and again different fruit bearing trees. And depending on the season, we also grow different vegetables, be it reddish,
Mm.
cauliflower,
Mm.
chilies,
Oh, nice.
onions,
Nice.
tamdi bhaji,
Yes.
muye.
Yes.
We have all the local vegetables growing here.
Mm. I'm guessing also that having such a diverse crop and diverse crop yield also means that you have planting, or rather you have planting, and you have rather I would say extraction, or rather yield
Mhm.
throughout the year, and that's how you also get like a
Yes.
benefit in terms of
Yes.
when you're selling it, right? So just before I would like to also add the selling part of it. Let's
Mhm.
talk also about that part of it. But let us know about this diversification. Was that something you guys made a conscious thought, or was it just like, let's keep growing stuff and let's see how it goes?
So, to be very honest, this was all done by my father.
Okay.
And he has done this through his passion. He never thought of it as an extra source of income. He never thought that this will ever make a great profit or it will be something. It is just that he did it out of true passion and true love for his sand and for Goa and for Kalangut, And he did this. And it turned out to be so exceptionally well that we today are earning exceptionally good, and then more than we ever thought. We thought this may be a loss, because considering the climate and everything, but trust me, we are doing a very good income.
So it's profitable as well.
Of course, for us, it's
Yes.
definitely profitable, because we have been doing this, at least the fruit bearing trees, for 10 years now, and we have understood what to do and what not to do.
Okay.
Because when it comes to paddy, we know it all. But this was something new for us. The fruits, then vegetables.
So there was a learning curve as well.
Of course.
Yes.
The last decade was definitely learning curve for my family, and now
Yes.
it is very easy for me, because
Yeah.
I've just inherited the knowledge. I don't
Correct.
have to really experiment here.
Correct. And now talking about sale, how do you all go about with sale of fruits and paddy and vegetables and stuff like that? Is it available? Do you all sell it? Do you all source it directly to supermarkets? Do you all have it sold directly from your from a home or from a store, or is it sold to another person, like a middle buyer, and then it goes to the consumer?
So let me start off with paddy, because
Yeah.
that's what we majorly cultivate. Last year alone, we made lakhs of profit by selling paddy to directly to the government.
Oh.
That is
Okay.
excellent scheme or
Yeah.
excellent part job that the government has done.
Mm.
That assured buying is given to the farmer.
Oh,
So I
nice.
do not really have to struggle to go to anybody or to get a certain price, because a good price is fixed for the farmer per
And this is by
kg
the government,
and
right?
by the government, which
Okay.
is excellent, which is very good. But that is why I'll tell you, that is one of the very important reasons we
Mm.
are still doing paddy.
Of course.
Because if we didn't have a short buyer, I think somewhere down the line we would be a little hesitant in
Mm.
continue doing it, because see, I have a huge land
Yeah.
and I make a lot of paddy, a lot of rice, a lot of it.
Mm.
So where does it go? And
Yeah.
we don't always have the time and patience sometimes, to go and actually find a buyer who will give
Mm.
us that rate that we are looking at.
Mhm.
But because the government is
Mm.
doing a short buying every year, it is happening every year,
Mm.
we continue doing so. And last year alone, I made a very good lakhs
That's
of profit.
that's excellent.
Excellent,
Excellent.
excellent.
Yeah.
When it comes to fruits, which I told you, it
Mm.
is initially done by us.
Yes.
Um, it's funny that, and it's very nice also, that I don't actually have to physically go and sell
Mm.
my fruits, especially I do it all online.
Okay. Lovely.
So I have
Yes.
this social media presence
Yeah.
where I have a huge following,
Mm.
and people know that my fruit produce is all organic. We don't
Mm.
use any chemicals, we don't use any pesticides. We only use organic manure that comes
Mm.
from our animals,
Mm.
and we use it on our trees, and good water, good climate, and good care, and we have excellent yield. So this year itself, I made again lakhs of profit on selling my mangoes purely online,
Oh.
purely on Facebook, on my social medias,
Mm.
and we have a farmers group on WhatsApp
Mhm.
where we daily post our produce and people buy from there.
Yeah. Now coming to that, like suppose if people say in Kalangut area itself, like maybe people who might not know, how would they go about purchasing on a day-to-day basis? Like where could they go? Do they follow you on social media, or do they have to go to a special page, maybe like a farm page where you'll be putting it up and saying, hey, this is our crop produce for today? Is there a system like that?
Not really in place, but people know that we have huge produce here, so
Mm.
they contact me directly,
Okay,
especially the
so they can
locals.
contact you.
Yeah, they
Yes.
contact me, they can contact my family, or they contact my family, somebody from far, but especially the locals from Kalangut, they contact us directly, or they come home, or they even land up in the fields.
Yes.
So they take it from the source and home.
Yes.
But again, I now of the last few years, I've understood the pattern of the market,
Okay.
and I want to make it a little more professional the
Mm.
next year.
Yeah.
So I want to have an online presence where
Yes.
people solely are interacting about my farm, my field.
Mm.
And I also want to have an activity which will be revealed later on
Fair enough.
as it happens
In the pipeline.
in the pipeline.
Okay.
So there's something in place that I want to do over here, and
Mhm.
I'm sure it will be amazing, because I've got an extraordinary response this year with my vegetables, with my fruit produce, which has encouraged me all the more to continue doing this plan that I have in my mind.
So, Narusha, we also speaking about the different schemes that the government has, the Department of Agriculture, the seeds, the subsidies, and all of that which comes in. So, what would you have to say about some of these type of topics?
Well, thank you for asking me that question, because I think this is a very important question if somebody really wants to dig into this. So, this book itself is from Director of Agriculture.
Mm.
It's an informative booklet for all the schemes and subsidies that the farmer or that the government has to provide to the farmer. There are n number of subsidies available by the government, but for some reason they do not reach to the layperson. They do
Mm.
not reach to the farmer. Now, because I'm genuinely interested in helping my farmer friends or people around us doing farming, I dig into this
Mm.
because I may be financially well off to take out a chunk of my finances
Mm.
and invest in the farming, but
Yeah.
not everybody
Yes.
is.
Exactly. Right.
So again, there are many subsidies that include subsidies for fruit bearing trees, for tractor, for seeds, vegetable paddy seeds, drip irrigation,
Hmm.
fencing, well digging. So there are n number of subsidies and schemes provided by the government. But again, as I said, they don't really reach to the layperson. And another aspect is that if you need to apply for these subsidies, for example, I'm helping a farmer friend of mine apply for fencing at his field,
Hmm.
but that subsidy is not reaching to him because there is a clause that you need to have certain hectares or certain acres of
Acres of
land
land.
to get that.
Okay.
Now this needs to be studied and understood
Hmm.
by the government, the ground
That not
reality.
everyone has the same amount.
Exactly.
Yeah.
See, I or maybe few farmers may have
A
certain
large
amount,
scale of
a
land.
large scale
Yeah.
of land, but not everybody does.
Yeah.
Why aren't we not encouraging that? Because
Hmm.
if maybe he starts it, somebody may get encouraged from him and start their other lands
Hmm.
also. It's a chain reaction, you know.
Yeah.
But to have a chain reaction, nobody is starting the chain.
Mm-hmm.
So again, so these subsidies needs to be studied. What is at the moment here available
Mm.
needs to be studied how
Studied.
feasible they are.
Okay.
Because these schemes, I don't think are being utilized by everybody.
Yeah. And so how would like someone go, like would they need to, like say for instance if if I'm a layperson and I want to get into like to learn about this, can I just walk into the agricultural
Yes.
department and
Yes.
ask them, do I need like some documentation or something of that sort, or just can say, hey, you know what, I'm planning on starting a farm, can you help me out?
So the agriculture department is quite helpful because I visit that place very often for most of my
Mm.
works. And if you need any information, you can go to your respective agriculture departments in your place. Like for
Mm.
us in Kalangor, we need to go to MAPSA.
Mhm.
And if you inquire about anything and everything, they will definitely help you with all the documentation.
Mm.
But again, if you do not fall in this criteria,
Yeah.
how are these schemes benefited to you?
Understood.
So
Understood.
again, as I said, these needs to be really studied how feasible they are at
Mm.
the grassroots
There has to
level.
be some balance. If you have any message that you would like to give to the youth of today, to the budding entrepreneurs of today who would be tempted to put their hands into the soil and say, what would you tell them is, you know, some of the tips that you would like to impart to them?
Well, farming has always been something very close to my heart, and I've always stayed true to my roots and my soil because I love my land and especially I love my village, Kalangut. And that's why I take up farming in a more exciting way. And to the budding entrepreneurs and to the people who really are interested in taking up farming, I think this is an excellent opportunity because not everybody today does farming. And who are into farming are the older people who may not have all the necessary equipments and knowledge of farming. But in today's time and age, farming has really advanced with its machinery, with its chemicals and seeds that are provided by the agriculture department. So those who are really interested and have lands especially must take it with true passion and dedication. If you have passion, if you have the dedication, there's nothing that can you ever stop you. But of course, you will always find hurdles. You'll always find something that pushing you down and bringing you down. But I think that should never stop you. And if you do not stop, you will always reach skyrocketing, and you will make amazing profits, and you will continue doing something that your family has been doing. And trust me, the feeling that you get at the end of the day is really great.
Well, there you have it, folks. Before we go before we let Narusha leave, we're going to ask her to take us through her farm and show us some of the aspects that she has to share with not just us but with all of you as well. So let's carry on and let's move on into this next segment of Inspiring Entrepreneurs.
So this is my paddy field where we grow most of our paddy along with the other paddy fields that are surrounded. And now it's June. Soon we will begin with the paddy plantation, which we usually do by a paddy transportation machine. So as I said, we do not really employ hand labor because it's extremely easy now to go directly in the field with a machine to transplant all the paddy, and then during harvest season again we have a machine that goes all about the fields and collects all the harvest. And where I'm standing right now is a heightened portion of the paddy field which we have converted into a land where we grow all our fruit bearing trees. Where I'm standing under, these are mango trees where we recently had amazing harvest and really good Mankurad mangoes, which were really loved by most of my buyers.
I think that's really excellent. I mean, you know, as you said, you know, going from one field to coming to another field, literally, it's great that you have such a wonderful yield of crop and also the hard work that's gone into it. It's not, as I said, there is patience which is required for a good yield, and Yes, thank you so much
Most
for
welcome.
taking the time to talk to us at DD Goa. I hope people who are watching the program will be, a little bit have a little bit of insight from wonderful words that Narusha has had to share with all of you, and hopefully that inspires some of you who are watching today to go to your fields and start producing some crop.